Hey everybody, it's Jim Johnson, your host here at Contractor Radio with another awesome episode to help you get control of your business so you can grow your business and find that personal and financial freedom in your business, which is what we do here at Contractor Coach Pro. And why I love doing this podcast so much is we get to bring on some pretty awesome guests to help you facilitate some of those things when we look at our businesses. We look at our businesses, two sides of a coin. We have this foundational side that we've got to get all those things in place from leadership, culture, process, HR, finance, and accountability that we don't spend as much time as we probably should as contractors. And then there's the operational side. That's kind of the fun stuff: technology, marketing, sales, training, production, recruiting, hiring, and onboarding, where we tend to focus a lot of our time. Today, I'm going to be talking about one of those operational aspects of our business in marketing and what we should maybe be doing in planning for a new year coming and how we should look at that planning throughout the year. I've got an amazing guest for that today. I cannot wait to bring him on board. But before we talk to him, let's hear a word from one of our sponsors, Atlas Roofing Shingles.
The Atlas Pro Plus Contractor Program is designed to help you build your business. It gives you tools and resources, training, industry insights, bonus structures, technical knowledge, the brand power and science of 3M Scotchgard, and what we think is the best product and warranty in the industry. Become part of the family that is succeeding and growing their businesses.
We went from nobody ever heard of us to the number one roofing company in our region.
And we've gone from 12 roofs a year to 20, 35, and we did over 400 last year.
We're on track right now to do 1,000 roofs this year.
You'll begin earning Atlas bucks and rewards as you move up to even greater reward levels. Become an Atlas Pro today.
As I said, hey, marketing is key. And one of the things that I love about Atlas is they actually help you do that. They help you differentiate yourself from your competition. They support you with some marketing assets to help your business. But we're going to talk about a little bit of the other side of things, some of the digital side of marketing and some planning aspect of marketing that we should really be thinking about at this time of year. And I have one of the top guys in our industry out there. He works with roofers, but it applies to all contractors that do home services. Let's bring on our special guest, co-founder, rock star, social media savant, Jim Ahlin from Roofer Marketers. Hey, Jim. Good to have you on board, buddy.
Good to have you. Good to be here, man. Awesome. It's a great
I always like telling the story about how I'm like engaged with you the very first time. Like we had glanced each other, at events and things like that, just kind of crossing blows. But the very first time I engaged with you is because I was sick and tired of seeing you. You're on like everything. I pull up Instagram. There's Roofer Marketers. I would pull up Facebook. There's Roofer Marketers. On my TV, there's Roofer Marketers. And I went, hey, this guy must be pretty good. How do I get him off of my social stuff and actually talk to him about what he does? So thanks for coming on board today, man.
Yeah, no problem. And that's our goal is to see us everywhere, right? And you do that. So
that's a good question. And I'm going to ask this question before I have you do what I would normally do. But this idea of seeing us everywhere, what is the point of that? Why can't I just do like the old days and have an ad in the newspaper, or I don't even think they have the yellow pages anymore, but I think there's a digital version of that. Why do we need to be everywhere all the time? And what I would call sometimes seems overly persistent. Why does it need to be like that today?
We're maximizing our brand impressions is kind of the simplest way to put it, right? And it's not a new concept. I mean, big companies for decades have been doing this, right? Every time there's a marketing channel, they're in it, from the Coca-Colas to the Nikes to GE, right? All of the Johnson & Johnson product placements everywhere. It's the same concept that they would do. Right. There's an old advertising rule of 7 that people don't recognize your brand until they've seen it at least 7 times. And so for us, and you said social media savant is, the way we've kind of hacked the the social networks in a way is that you will always see us. Every time you open Facebook, we'll be in your stories. We'll have a post in your feed. Open Instagram, we're in your stories. We have a post in your feed. We're in your reels. We open TikTok, we're there. Go to LinkedIn, we're there. And so our goal is just to be where all of our perfect customers are. And so for contractors, it's the same thing. Know who your customer is, where they are, and be there so that you become top of mind. I was talking to someone about this earlier today, but it's the most valuable real estate you can own is mental real estate, right? And so when Jim Johnson started thinking about the marketing companies that he could maybe refer his customers to in the roofing niche, or who's reputable, who's not reputable, he saw roofer marketers everywhere, right? And you're like, that had an impact on the way that you thought about us, right? And then you had a conversation with us, and then we started talking, and and then you go, oh, okay, they do get, but it was that without that impression share, without you seeing us so many times, you wouldn't have had that initial conversation.
Yeah, it was pretty well. I want to get back to that. I want to talk a little bit more about this, just being present all the time, and maybe some of the struggles over that. But before we do, why don't you tell us a little background of roofer marketers? Like, where'd you come from? Why roofing in particular? Like, you could probably do what you do for pretty much any home service contractor or kind of any business, to be honest with you. But why roofing? Why roofer marketers? And give us a little I don't know, Reader's Digest of the backstory.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, for myself, it goes back a little bit further, a couple of decades, right? I started in doing web development, server-side programming in 2002. So I've been doing this a long time. I realized quickly that I wasn't a programmer, right? I wasn't built for that. So I started my entrepreneurial journey in many things: real estate brokerages, mortgage brokerages, real estate investing, had business, all kinds of businesses that I was working in along the way. And every time that I was in these businesses, whether it was as a employee or as a partner or as the owner, it was on me. Well, you know how to do those website things. Can you build us one of those? And so I kind of got pulled into the digital marketing side of things, which I've enjoyed thoroughly. Like it really, that's my path over programming, right? And then as you get to know these things, you have friends that say, hey, you know that stuff, can you help me with that stuff? And then that snowballs into things. And at the time we started Roofer Marketers in 2008, I was doing a pay-per-lead service for contractors, mostly in the roofing space, some other contractors, electrical contractors and HVAC and things like that.
Were you one of the first guys that was out there like, hey, we'll get you 30 leads in the next 30 days type of thing? And
I could have been. Yeah, I could have been. Like, and they're still sending those emails out today. So, but so, and then my business partner, Brian, had a digital marketing agency that was more of a generalist agency. So what that means is they, not specific to a niche, but he had a couple of roofing contractors as clients, and we started working together, and it was like the roofing fit with both of us, right? Like it's kind of like roofing finds you kind of thing, or contracting, right? It finds you and it pulls you in. It's not like, oh, I want to do marketing for roofing contractors, right? But
that's not what you were sitting in high school just dreaming about.
It's what I majored in college, but really, it's Brian was doing a great job with some of his clients. I was doing a great job, and then we came together and said, look, this is it right here. And since then we're off and running. We work with just over 100 roofing contractors nationwide. Written 2 books on the subject of digital marketing for roofing contractors, have my podcast, the Roofing Success Podcast, do educational webinars on an ongoing basis. So there's part of what we do at Roofer Marketers is not just with our clients. We want to help roofing contractors generate more revenue through their digital marketing efforts. So we do that through the education that we do in the marketplace and with our done for you services.
There's a reason we get along. Yeah, we do a lot of
Yeah.
coaching, but we do a lot of just educating, like
Yeah.
this podcast.
That's right.
That's our point, is like give you, you never know where somebody is along their roadmap of growing. And if you can give them the stuff to make some of those first leaps, maybe at some point they find the value in what you do. Kind of like you mentioned with me, like I didn't know who you were. I started seeing your face all over the place, your content all over the place. And then I started to go, hey, I kind of like this guy. And so now I have this idea that like I know who Jim Ahlin is, or at least who I perceive him to be.
Yeah.
Then it's this like and trust thing. People buy what they know, like, and trust. And I went, okay, so that's now a brand. And then I contacted you. I actually liked you. You're like, hey, that guy's pretty cool. That's awesome. And then you actually gave me some free advice even from my own company. And so there was this trust thing that wasn't just a one-sided transaction. There was actually a relationship there. Do you see that much in roofing as a MO? Like, hey, this is the approach that we should use?
Man, definitely. I've talked to, especially like on the residential side, being that educational leader in your marketplace to help people understand what the problems they're facing. That's one thing. It really is very impactful on the commercial side. I've had a couple of guests on my podcast who, they're just the trusted resource for anyone that ever wants to call them. Like they are willing to give their unbiased expertise to a building owner, a homeowner, without the expectation of using them as their contractor. But
they're not trying to sell them there, right? Like it's, hey man, I want to freely give to you and be authentic about it. Yeah. And who knows? At some point you may need me, but right now I'm just doing the right thing by you.
And you can do that through being the resource, right? For hey, anyone, anytime, give me a phone, give me a call. I'll be as helpful as I can in guiding you in the right direction. But then on the other side of it, and you talked about the social media side of it, and kind of getting back to that and how you could take that and utilize that. It's such an easy thing to provide that expertise online, right? Through video content on your social media.
Yeah, I think a lot of us struggle with it. I know we do. Like it's one of those things that we struggle with because to be consistent, to be present all the time, it has its challenges. And we've started to figure out some things, thankfully, because of some of the input that you gave me long ago, and then some key people coming into play for us. But do you hear that much from contractors? Like, God, man, it's just a lot. I got to shoot this video all the time. I got to create these graphics. I got to put it on Instagram, and I can need it. Which thing should I do? Should I be TikTok master, or should I be Instagram real guy? Or which, do you hear a lot of that?
A lot of it, right? And that's the challenge. And the consistency is the superpower, right? And if you're not consistent, that's why some of these things fail for people, or what they feel like they fail, right? Like, man, I just can't get any traction on my social media. When do you post? Well, when I can, how I can, when I can. Well, what do you post? Well, we do before and afters. Okay, well, what do you write in that before and after post, right? Do you write, new GAF Timberline HD charcoal gray, cool, right? Like, do you write that? Because that's what most people write. But to that person who is viewing your company, that doesn't mean anything, right? It's not as impactful as like to a homeowner as that. And maybe you have some renovation contractors who listen here too. You guys have it easier, right? Like people save up money for that kitchen and bath remodel. No one wants to buy a roof. What I mean? So it's very challenging. So, but there are problems that in the social media content that you create, you should be thinking about who you're creating that content for and putting them into that social media. So for example, in that before and after, hey, the Johnsons down in Texas, in this area of Texas, there was a windstorm and they saw shingles on the ground. We came out and did our thorough 38-point inspection to determine if there was damage and if and what the potential solution to that would be, right? Their insurance company was contacted and covered the whole cost of their roof minus their deductible. And we installed this new GAF roofing system, that in charcoal gray XYZ, right? Like, it's a different thing. Now, the next person reading that post goes, oh, well, we had a windstorm too.
It's a story they can
what
relate
a cool
to.
shingle, right? Like, it's the story that you tell in the conversation that you're having with that homeowner.
Yeah, I got some really good advice on that a while back. And whenever you're talking, like whatever it is you're doing on social media or YouTube, any of those things, use the word you a lot. Instead of we or you guys or all of us or that type of thing, use the word you a lot. You are dealing with this. You are probably feeling this way. It brings them into the story. You're talking directly to them and you're telling a story directly to them, and nobody else is there to hear it. And it actually works in a variety of situations, because if you think about it, when you're on social media or any of that other stuff like that, we're all thinking we're talking to a big crowd, right? Like, hey, we're talking to thousands of people, so we got to talk like thousands of people. But even in speaking engagements where I get up on stage and I'm talking in front of, thousands of contractors, I'm saying the word you a lot. I'm using that to speak directly to them. And you know who else is good at that? Who we learn that from? Pastors at a church that have great attendance. Like, they know how to make it all about you. And so if you want to learn how to talk like that, go find a church that's got a lot of people in it. And I promise you, that guy is saying, hey, you are having this problem. You're feeling this way about your faith. You're this, you're that. Right. And boy, you're just brought in like, man, he's talking directly to me.
Directly. Right. Like, me. Yeah. I do feel that way, like, and it's so powerful and impactful to do that there is I've seen Facebook ads. If you get too good at it, Facebook will like filter on the ad side. They're like, no, that ad is way too, it makes it too creepy. When they used to have a lot of demographic targeting in Facebook, like, do you make $60,000 and live in this neighborhood? Like, whoa, that's
yeah, I'm a little uncomfortable. So how do we make this thing easier? I'm willing. Let's say I'm a contractor and I'm willing. I'm like, all right, I'll shoot the video, man, but I can't shoot a video every day. I don't have an on-staff graphics person. I don't have all that. I don't even know, like, I can get on my phone and post it to Instagram Reels. I know how to do that, but I also need it to go to TikTok, and I need it to go to Facebook, and I need it to go on YouTube. And how do we make it easier?
So the first thing that I think makes it easier is building some kind of content calendar for the future, right? You want to understand what you're going to talk about. So maybe you could categorize these, right? So you have a customer success story, right? That's one category that you're going to talk about. That might be a job that you've completed that worked out well, or a problem that maybe you solved that someone wasn't even your customer, right? Like, you could tell these customer success stories along the way. Another category, maybe your backstory, why you got into contracting, how you are improving your business, how you feel like you're doing better than the competition, right? Like, what you're doing that differentiates your company from the next. Another category might be things about your team, right? Like, so talking about your team members and the things that they're doing. Community involvement might be another category that you do, right? And so you have these multiple categories. Education is another category, right? So getting people to know that you know what you're talking about. So you have all these categories. Then you take these categories and you break them up over a month, right? On today, I'm going to do Monday, I'm going to do a customer success. Tuesday, I'm going to do an educational. Wednesday, I'm going to talk about the team, right? So now you have these buckets. So now when you're going out and creating the content, you know which bucket it fits into. So now you can fill your bucket. So now you have essentially multiple pieces of content for each of these buckets. One of the things that I think is people don't realize on social media is you don't just you're allowed to post things more than once. Isn't that crazy?
Oh, you mean they don't see it the first time I post it? Everybody?
I mean, so you put something on your business page on Facebook, if you have 100 followers on there, maybe 10 of them see it, maybe 15 if you're lucky.
It's about 11% if I've read my
right. So so in that 10 to 15% range, like if something is really getting a lot of likes and shares, you might get in. So you can post it again, right? Take a snapshot of your Google reviews and put that on there, or have yourself talking about the Google review. Man, this is so great of Sally for leaving this review. We really appreciate it. When we were working on this project, it was this, X, Y, and Z. We overcame these problems, and we were so happy to get a 5-star review from her, right? Like those types of things. That's a customer experience piece of content. And that's something that, maybe you post it again in 3 months, post it again 2 months later, right? You can continuously post this stuff. And that's how we get to the quantity of what we post, right? We have 7 social media networks, 7 social media accounts over LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok that we post on 4 to 6 times a day on each of them, right? So no matter where you're at, we're there. So you could take that same post, right? And you could put a clip on TikTok of it, and then you could put your post on Facebook, and you put it as an Instagram reel and put it over on LinkedIn, and all of a sudden you're everywhere.
Do you guys see anybody do like we look at them as like themes? I got this theme or a series. Right, I'm going to do a series on some things, right? Yep. And do you ever see anybody do like long form stuff as kind of like the like, let's take education, for example. That thing might be 10 or 15 minutes about, hey, why this chimney leaked for whatever reason, or this decking was bad. It could be very much like almost a training type thing that you could leverage inside of your business. You put it outside of your business, and then you take little snips of that and put it on other things. So you're really creating one thing that creates multiple things across the board. Do you see a lot of that?
Yeah, long form content into short form content. That's really a lot of what we do with our podcast and our webinars and things like that. Is we'll take those big pieces of content, an hour-long piece of content or a 30-minute piece of content, and just pull little snippets out of it, right? Instagram is less than 59 seconds. Facebook maybe a 2-minute, or LinkedIn we could go up maybe up to 10 minutes. Have a clip on there for up to 10 minutes. TikTok, right? You have your short form stuff, reels, things like that. So whatever the content that you have, you can repurpose, right?
So should I strategically, here's a question I think most contractors would ask. Should I strategically drive them back to the long form thing though? Like they're interested, like, hey, I watched the whole thing. You can go check out the rest of it on this, or is that important?
I think it's more important for that clip. Right. We like for our perspective, I think this year our podcast episodes, will probably be, 75,000 downloads, listens on our podcast episodes on the podcast platform. So that's the long form, right? Long form pieces of content. We'll 10x that easily with the short form clips on our social media. But it's, we have it, it's our brand. So if it's a clip of the podcast on the Roofing Success Instagram page, right? Instagram profile, it's, Roofing Success. It leads to, I don't think that you need the calls to action on everything.
Okay, cool. Good.
Right.
Yeah. Right. We always wonder about that kind of stuff sitting there as a contractor. It's really just to stay in front of them.
Stay in front of them.
Piece of content that's important. Thought I'd share it with you. Here you go. And
there's a book that was published years ago by Gary Vaynerchuk. It's called the Jab, 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 Right Hook, right? So the jabs are just content, value. The right hook is the ask. So there's a concept of just provide value. Don't worry about all the calls to action. And people might disagree with me on that. Let's disagree in the comments, please. Let's get in a little comment war here. We'll get the views up on this. Really good.
I would love that. Let's have a battle. Is it leads right this second, or is it relationship over a long time?
That's right. And so, I am a big fan of just being there all the time, owning that mental real estate. Other people need that click, need that. They want something to go viral. They want that call to action. They want calls to act. you could do it either way. Here's the thing about business, Jim, that's fun, is that it's your business. You can do what you want, right? Like
we actually coach that.
There is no one way. So,
all right. So, are there tools that make any of that easier for me?
Yeah.
So, I want to make sure I post to everything. Are there any particular tools?
First off, you said you'd made a comment about maybe we don't have someone that could do this. I don't have time to do all of these things. Using assistants, right? So people who, having a local person who maybe does videography that could come in and help you with this, create the long form video, pull some of those clips out, format them for those different things. Boy, this generation of youth is pretty darn proficient.
They know how to use one of those phones. It looks like
they know how to use them pretty well. So, and then there's other people in your area, right? Like, especially as a contractor, the videographers that really know how to shoot a good contracting video, real estate videographers, right? If they're not busy doing, if they have some extra time, or hire them to come out once a week. One of my, I could shout out Masters Roof Memphis. Andrew Itnauer did a great job of this. I've had him on my podcast a couple of times, where he had a friend who's a videographer, and he took him out once a week, and they would go out to the projects that they were building, at the roofs that they were building. They'd go out to some homeowners that they were meeting with or picking up checks, and they would just film that day. And then it would take all of that content for the day, and that was almost a month's worth of content right there. Right. Yeah. So you can hack it that way. Other things that you can do, there are websites like Upwork.com that you can hire freelancers on, that maybe you do the filming of the video, then you upload it into Google Drive or Dropbox or something like that, and you and have them pull the clips and make something out of it. There's a service that we used for a little while called Repurpose House. You upload your video, and they make 15 or 7 or 15 pieces of content out of what you upload for a monthly fee. And they make them specific to formatted for Facebook and Instagram and different things. So it's multiple. So there are multiple resources out there to do that part of it, right? Because you have the content creation, you have the editing of it, and then you have the posting of it. So you could kind of separate it that way. The posting of it, there are a ton of softwares out there that will post for you kind of on an automatic basis, where you can schedule all of your posts in. So you could preload your week, preload your year almost. One that comes to mind is Sendable. That's one that we've used a lot.
We've used eClincher. eClincher works pretty well. We use that because it goes to TikTok too. Like you can get TikTok on there at the same time.
So one of my favorite features, this is the feature that I look for sometimes in these social media posting softwares, is the ability to post evergreen content. It's referred to as evergreen content. So you could create what are called queues. So you could take those content banks and load them up in these queues, and then it'll kind of randomly select things and post them. So you create a bunch of posts, and then the software posts them you kind of put in a schedule. Hey, I want one from this bucket to go out every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and one from this bucket to go out Tuesday and at about this time. And then it'll kind of randomly select and start posting those from those buckets.
What are some of the names of those that you've seen in the past?
Sendable is one of them. Meet Edgar is another one. I think Social Pilot does that. But so look for an evergreen functionality in there. And if you have that, now those posts never end, right? Now you can really just focus on filling those buckets. And then the software does some of the work for you on that posting end.
So I got a question on that just real quick. Does it, I don't know if contractors have thought of this, but I wonder if I use one of those tools like Sendable or eClincher or something like that, and to post my content. Does it have any difference than if I was just like manually doing it on my phone?
Yeah, there is. Yep, there is. And you know, so posting natively in the TikTok app, posting natively in Instagram, and using their little editors to like throw little things in and stuff like that. I've heard that it has an impact, right? There are a lot of people that measure the success of posts done inside or outside of these platforms. And so that's phase 2. To me, phase 1 is do something, right? Phase 2, do something better than that. Phase 3, do something a little better than that, right? So in each phase, if you are someone who is not posting at all, get a scheduler, let it post. Yeah. It's better than what you're doing now.
Better than nothing, right?
Right? It's better than what you're doing now. Now, as you grow, maybe you can add a team member into your business that can do some of the native posting in between the scheduled posts, right? Now you can just start to add phase 2, phase 3, and continuously get better at it.
So we've talked about some of the ways to make it a bit easier, right?
Yeah.
You know, you've got these tools that can do it. You can create some long form and edit it down into a bunch of pieces and create your content. Like you use the one example, like you would have a guy come out once a month, and there would be enough there for a whole month's worth of content. Those are awesome ideas. So at this time of year, you know, I got all these ideas coming up, right? And I got 1 million people reaching out to me trying to get me to do whatever it is they are selling or doing. When it comes to marketing, what should I be thinking about when I'm planning for the coming year? There's, you know, all kinds of things that people are worried about right now, whether it be a recession and, you know, are we going to be able to sell anything? I think roofing is fairly recession proof. You got a leak inside of your house, you're going to need somebody regardless of the situation. But if I was planning for marketing, what would be some of the things I'd want to look at as a contractor?
So starting with it, at this point of the year, when we talking about that is like it's a weird thing that we'd use this time of year as a point of reflection, right? We're looking back at what worked in 2022 and what could we improve upon in 2023. And so the first thing that I would go to is your marketing budget, right? What did you allocate towards marketing in 2022? And I think that sometimes this is something that surprises contractors to know that they underspent on their marketing.
So what should they spend?
So we see on average our clients are usually between 3 and 8% but everyone is different, right? So if you're a startup going from 0 to $1.5 million, 2 million, you know, you probably don't have the cash flow to invest, right? So you're going to have to rely a little bit more on time, right? And that time is in developing relationships. That time may be spent in doing some social media content, getting your brand out there, connecting in the community, you know, spending some strategic funds on I love truck wraps, right? They generate a lot of interest. Yard signs, right? There's these smaller outlays of money that you can invest, right?
Yeah, you can get right down to like, let's just do some door hangers and flyers, but make them
door
different,
hangers
make them
and flyers,
unique,
right? And get out there, like, let's just be honest, just boots and knuckles. Like,
yeah,
it's not
you can certainly do that, but you're
right.
Yeah, you're investing time versus money.
You're investing time versus money, right? And but as you grow, you know, we see between 3 and 8%. I think that I've seen it said many times the industry standard is 5%.
Yeah.
But let's talk about that. Industry standard is 5% of your gross revenue goal.
Yeah. So let's say you were 5 million this year, right? You're 5 million this year. You don't look at the 5 million you did and take 5% of that and say, I'm going to market. You say, I want to be 7 million next year. So I want to invest 5% of 7 million.
That's right.
To get to that number. Is that how you're saying to look at it?
Exactly. And so what we look at when we look at budgeting, we look at the leads that are currently coming into your business, because there are leads that will organically come into your business. The longer you've been in business, a lot of times the more organic leads come into your business. Those are the referral leads mostly, right? people that just know who they're going to call when they want to, when they need your services. So I would take some time to reflect and say, if we were only looking at those leads for next year, right? Just that kind of the leads that we get organically, mainly referral leads, where does that get us on a revenue perspective, right? So maybe you have $3 million. Like, man, we could do 3 million. We did 4 million last year. I bet if we just kind of coasted, didn't spend money on marketing, we could hit 3 just based on the number of people who refer us, right? Then the leads that you need to hit your revenue goal, there's a gap there. That's the gap that you have to fill with your paid marketing. In the referral side of things, sometimes you'll have to spend some marketing effort there just to make sure that people remember to call you, right? Remember to refer you. But really what you're doing is, how much market share do I need to buy? Because that's all marketing is. It's buying market share. The greater the gap, the higher you want to push that percentage, right? So if you're $1 million company and you want to do 10 next year,
be prepared.
Yeah, they may need you to like really coach them on some operational things, but moving into that, like, that's a big gap.
Yeah, we talk about that all the time, because we will have contractors come to us that, they want to grow, and they want to grow fast, and they want to grow big, and they want to do all that good stuff. I'm like, that sounds wonderful. Let's just assume that you did take that money, you invested, and you were going to get all these leads. Exactly how are you going to optimize each one to sell every single one? Are you going to have a unique system to do that with, or are you going to just wing it? And let's say you did sell them. Do you have the crews to actually produce it? Do you have the process to put them into? Like, there's so much other stuff to consider before you go, hey, I'm going to go hog wild on marketing, because if you don't have the systems and processes in place, it's going to blow up in a pretty big hurry.
So Chuck and I have had this conversation, right? A couple of times. Chuck Toki, top rep sales coach for Contractor Coach Pro. We'll do the plug there. Chuck and I have had this conversation. We were at a trade show one time, and I think I was having lunch with them or something. And we were chatting, and someone there was talking about Home Advisor and how they hated Home Advisor. And Chuck's like, oh, we buy every Home Advisor lead that we could get our hands on. And everyone looks at him like, what is your problem? You know what I mean?
You've got to know how to work it.
But it's because you have a system and process to work it, right? And that's the biggest part of it, right? Do you have someone that is going to answer the phone for you and sell
immediately? And keep them on the line for a little while, so all the other people calling them can't get through.
Yeah, especially if it's a Home Advisor lead. That's right. I think Chuck told me that they like try to keep them on the phone for at least 8 minutes or something like that. Like, there's a strategy to it. There are strategies to these things. So, but what I like to refer to it is your marketing stack, right? And I think that, like, foundationally, from a digital perspective, you start with your website and your Google business profile, your Google Maps listing. You start there foundationally, right? You build out that foundational SEO from a digital perspective, and then you stack on top of that. Google local services ads are a great thing for contractors right now, not just roofing contractors. Anywhere they have Google local services ads, sign up for that program, get involved in it. The lead quality is very high. The lead cost is very low in comparison to other marketing channels. The reason that I like to start with that foundational SEO, or the foundation in the SEO, is because SEO takes time. It's that old adage, when's the best time to plant a tree? 20 years ago, right? Yeah. When's the next time? Today. So starting with that and investing and putting some effort into that, right? Like, it doesn't have to be your entire effort, but starting that effort, start watering that tree, plant it, start watering it, add nutrients. Start that process there. Then you can stack things like Google local services ads, Facebook, Instagram ads, Google pay-per-click advertising, search and display. Like you could start to stack these things on top of each other, but then stack with your offline efforts too, right? Your sign is always in the yard. Your trucks are wrapped. Everyone is in polos. Maybe you sponsor the local little league team. You're at the local holiday parade and you have a float in the parade, right? There's all of these things that you start stacking on top of it. You stack your direct mail on top of that, and all of it, that marketing stacks. So starting with your budget, okay, where are we at? How many leads do we need? How big is that gap? What did we do last year? And now let's start to add to that, right? That's the way I would suggest looking at the new year.
Yeah, but we had you guys at our mission control retreat. That's what we do. We help plan out the coming year. And there was a lot of marketing questions like, hey, should I do this or should I do that? And I want to go to this big, but I don't know how I will get the leads to do that. And we would have to ask some questions backwards, like, okay, do we have the processes and everything in place first? Like, we got to make sure that's in place. If it is, great. Then where are you at currently? And that's the thing I think we need to understand as contractors, like where are we at currently? Are we small? Are we big? Do we have a budget? Do we not have a budget? You got to ask all those questions first before you start going, okay, this is where I'm going to get the highest return on investment for the amount of effort and time and expense to do it. Do you guys talk about that whenever you bring somebody on with you at Roofer Marketers?
We do, yeah. So we do a goal planning session with them and break down, break down their year, break down the leads that they need to hit, looking at their revenue goals. We're very goal focused. So we're working on implementing additional systems where our clients report their monthly revenue to us. We haven't implemented it yet, but that's another thing that we're working on. So now, hey, did you hit your revenue goal for this month? Right? Like, if not, where do we need to make some adjustments, right? Let's go back and look at things. We're always reporting, of course, all of the lead cost and where it came from and attributing the leads, in that manner and reporting that on an ongoing basis. Another thing that we do is we listen to every phone call that comes through every single one of our clients. So 100 and something roofing companies, every phone call that comes through their businesses, we're listening to, making notes on it, who answered the phone, if it was an existing customer, new customer, if an appointment was booked, or if they offered a callback. Oh, I hate callbacks, Jim.
Yeah, callbacks. If there's one thing, like whenever I talk to people about marketing and stuff like that, when you get a call in, don't tell them somebody's calling them back. Set an appointment now. Like that's what they were looking for.
Now.
That'd be like calling your hair cutter, which I don't have, looks like you do, and going, hey, can I get a haircut? Can I talk to somebody to get on the appointment? Yeah, we'll have somebody call you back. What's the first thing you're going to do when you get off the phone?
Yeah,
you're going to call the next one. That's right. I need that appointment now. I'm busy. I got things to do. So that's like number one.
Yep.
Point one, get that done first if you're not doing that.
Yeah.
So that was, we talked about, first off, simplifying, like how do we make this thing easier? Now we're talking a little bit about planning, and you talked about this gap, and we kind of look at it as like, okay, we want to do a certain amount of revenue.
Yeah.
So that revenue, if I was to divide it by my average job, how many jobs do we need to have? And then you mentioned like, hey, this is kind of our baseline. We know we're going to get this. There creates this gap. And so now you need to know closing percentages. You need to know like who you're giving the leads to and who you don't. Is there anything there? Like, I know who I was. I have a lead come in. I'm giving that to my closer. Like those guys close. I'm not giving it to just anybody. I'm giving that's literally like money I'm about to set on fire if I hand it to that guy, or it's going to become more money if I hand it to that guy. Do you guys talk about that at all with your contractors?
We don't as much, but I love that. I love that, right? Like we, the contractors we work with, they can hand out leads the way they want, but if they want input on that, it's your closers, man. Like your leads should probably be distributed based on closing percentage and from that lead source. We've had clients come back to us. They had one client that had multiple locations, and they're like, man, our salespeople are just, they're they don't like these Google and Facebook leads. They haven't closed any of them, right? And we're like, no way, man. There's no way. Let's go back and look, like, send us your closed sale data. Let's match up some attribution, right? Let's figure this out. And then they, like, in getting that data, they called their other office and say, hey, we need to pull this data because we need to show these guys that, that these leads aren't working. And they're like, oh, those leads? We love those leads.
Isn't it funny mindset, how big of a difference it makes?
So
if you think something's bad, it's bad. If you think it's great, it's great.
Yeah. And so now when we pulled the data, the one office that they had a very poor closing rate on this. It was very true. The leads for them were not good, but their other office was closing these leads in the high 40s. I think it was, like, they're just crushing.
So was it the lead, or was it the salespeople's belief in the lead?
Right. Or is it just the salesperson's training, right? Was that a competent salesperson?
My next question would be, okay, who trained that group? Who trained that group?
That's right.
That's pretty cool.
And then getting into their process, right? Now into the sales process, like, let's dig in. What are you guys doing where you're not? And let's figure it out, because sometimes it's not a lead problem. It might be an appointment set problem if you're offering the callback. It may be a sales problem. Your reps aren't good at it, or you can determine who's good at what, right? Like, some people are good at a certain type of lead, and some people are good at a different type of lead. There is some
truth to that, for sure. There is some truth to this. Again, what you believe, you think that lead's better than this lead, so you want those all the time. So these aren't as important, so you downplay them. Yeah, that's really insightful. I think contractors should pay more attention to that. I think they should look at process first, training second, and then coaching third. Like, did we give them the proper coaching after the training to maximize and optimize those opportunities that we're getting? All right, last thing, because you mentioned it twice now, and I think it's something that contractors struggle with, is, first off, getting a budget together in the first place, like understanding how a marketing budget. And we have some generalities, this 3 to 8%, 5% of our budget, and really thinking about if I want to grow a lot or a little and that type of thing. But I think where people really struggle is which lever to pull at the right time. We have so many different ways. There's Google My Business. You've mentioned 1,000 of them, right?
Yep.
And so you use the word attribute. So attributing that lead to a certain thing, right?
Yeah.
So that's a Facebook lead. What happened with it? That's a Google lead. What's happened with it? That's a YouTube. That's a LinkedIn. That's a so on and so forth, right? And then what happened to it? Do you find contractors struggling with being able to attribute the dollars they spend to the thing that they're doing and the results of that thing?
Definitely. And it's really because they have one phone number for their business.
So I was just about to ask you, so how do I overcome that? How do I start going, okay, that thing came from this thing? What are some of the things that we could do to attribute that lead to a specific ad that I might do, or a specific channel that I might use?
So the simplest thing is call tracking, right? Another thing is, if you're doing like Google ads, don't send that traffic to your website. Send it to a very specific landing page for that advertising campaign. For a Facebook ad, Facebook has lead forms. They have messenger leads, and then you can also send that traffic to a landing page, right? So now you can track, this ad goes to this landing page. We know this is our metal roofing ad group in Google pay-per-click. They landed on the metal roofing landing page. They filled out the form on the metal roofing landing page, or they called the call tracking number on that metal roofing at, like, now you could get very detailed in that attribution. For Facebook, right? Messenger leads, it's a Facebook Messenger. So you can attribute it pretty directly, right? If somebody is messaging you on Facebook from that ad, very easy attribution. Facebook lead forms, of course, is very similar because it's in Facebook's ecosystem, so they can see all of that. And then otherwise landing pages specifically for that campaign is another way. But the simplest way is call tracking, right? So you have a call tracking number pool that you install on your website. so that you use multiple call tracking numbers on your website just in case multiple visitors are there on the same at the same time. It can attribute where and connect with Google Analytics to figure out exactly how they came to your page, which is a little advanced, but there's simple call tracking systems that you can use. Easy ones are CallRail, call tracking metrics. Those are kind of the leaders in that space.
That's what we use.
Yeah. So very, very simple. So now you have essentially a call tracking number on your website. You have a call tracking number on your Google business profile. A tip for that is that you need to use your office number as the secondary number and your call tracking number as the primary number. So that doesn't confuse Google as to your name, address, and phone number consistency across the internet. So call tracking number as the primary, your actual phone number as the secondary in that regard. Google local services.
So you're talking about on like the landing page?
No, in your Google business profile or your Google Maps listing.
Okay. So call tracking number first, then primary number.
Yep. And the reason is that Google looks at the consistency in your name, address, and phone number as an indicator in your search engine optimization. So they want if they have a different phone number there, people go, oh, well, there's a different phone number there. It creates inconsistency in that. But if you have your actual phone number as the secondary number, Google can understand that consistency.
Gotcha.
Little technical, but all of this is like, I know people. So if you're doing direct mail, call tracking number. Yard signs can have a call tracking number. Your truck wrap can have a call tracking number. I mean, you can really get detailed on call tracking numbers.
They're super inexpensive.
Sales rep. You can really get detailed on it, but the easiest thing is call tracking numbers. That's a simple way to at least get some kind of attribution and idea of where things are coming from.
So we shouldn't rely on our forms telling us like, how'd you hear about us? And they pick one of the things, right? Yeah. The only place that exists on any of our stuff is on our actual website, like the main website. They've gotten there. We don't know how they got there already. We do have a place to put that, but everywhere else we should know. We should know like, hey, it came from there. And that's one less question we have to ask as well.
That's been studied a little bit. So people always put the last attribution, right? That the last,
or they don't know. I love this one because I'll get a call every once in a while and it'll be like, hey, do you guys do coaching? I'm like, yeah, we do coaching. And we'll have a little bit of a conversation. How'd you hear about us? Google. I'm like, okay, Google. That's neat. We're at on Google. Like, did they YouTube us and they were actually looking on YouTube? Was it a Google search? Like,
that's right.
And you feel like you don't want to ask that question, right? You don't want to ask the next question after that. I'd rather just know. And that's why having those call numbers are so important.
For sure. And that's what it is. They'll always answer with this a more vague answer a lot of times. And a lot of times that answer is Facebook or Google in most cases, especially when you're doing digital. But they saw a yard sign. They Googled you, they looked at your reviews, then they went to your website, and then they called you. So they said Google.
So would I have a specific number on my yard signs that are like yard sign numbers?
You can, yeah.
Wow, that's pretty cool. So
you can have call tracking numbers for everything. And then if you really want to, kind of create some competition on your sales team, you could, now you could have each rep could have their own signs with their own call tracking number. And you could really like see who's doing what and who's actually knocking the neighbors and not knocking the neighbors. And,
We saved the golden nugget right for the end, right? That's really good. So we've talked about a few things. We've talked about attribution. We've talked about planning. We've talked about making our content easier. If somebody wanted to find, you mentioned earlier, you wrote a couple of books about this stuff, right?
Yeah.
How would somebody go about getting one of those books?
So the Internet Marketing for Roofing Contractors, we published in 2018. That's on Amazon if you want to get that. That it still has a lot of application in today's market, but some of the steps of how to do things are a little, the interface has changed. Our other book, Best Known Roofer. If you are a roofing contractor, go to roofermarketers.com and we'll send you out a book for free. We will verify that you are an actual contractor. If you're a marketer and you just want to take our ideas and help implement them with your clients, you could go to Amazon and buy our book there.
Sweet. I love it. That's great. Jim, as always, man, I always get as much out of this, I think, as the people listening. So I always feel that those are the best interviews, are the ones where I get to learn something too.
Awesome.
I really appreciate your time today. I appreciate the value that you give, not just to our audience, but to the industry itself, and your willingness to openly share, like transparently, like, do this thing. This is how it's done.
Yeah.
Because we are aligned in that. Like, I think a lot of people hear these great pieces of information and don't necessarily apply them because they have a difficult time holding themselves accountable, which is why you need third parties like a marketing company or a coaching company to hold you accountable to getting things done. It's how anybody that's been great has gotten things done. You look at any like super great person, it doesn't matter who they are. Steve Jobs had a coach. Larry Page from Google had a coach. Bill Gates had a coach. They actually all had the same coach, by the way. I can't hire him. He's passed away. I tried to. But it's important to have those things. If somebody needs somebody to, help them with their marketing and really get out of it what they expect, because that's the thing. There's 9 million marketers out there and they're all beating your doors down. Very few. I say less than 2% you can actually trust. And Roofing Marketers is one of those companies you can trust. Is why I have them on here. How would somebody go about, like, what is the first step? What do you do? Like, do I go to the website and fill out a form?
Go to our website, schedule a call with our team, and just have what we refer to it as a discovery call. Like, we want to learn about your business and see how we can help you. So,
how much does that call cost?
Free $99.
Perfect. See, I set you up well for that. Yeah. And it should be free. Like, if we really truthfully want to help somebody out, we should make sure that it's a good fit for both of us.
Definitely.
So roofermarketers.com. Do they click on a certain button? Is it like
schedule a call? Yep.
Okay.
Real easy when you go to the website. Yeah.
Cool. Well, Jim, thanks, man. Really appreciate it. We do appreciate not only just what you do, but our relationship with you. It's always brought us value. I know you bring contractors value. So hopefully they found value from this podcast. Awesome. And we'll see them somewhere down the road. Thanks for being on the show today.
Thanks, man. Appreciate having me.
Yeah, if you'll hold on for just a second, I'll close out the show and we'll talk just for a couple minutes.
All right.
Awesome. All right, everybody. That was Jim Ahlin, co-founder of Roofer Marketers. Man, there was golden nuggets all throughout that thing. The attribute part of it was super cool. Like the numbers, that's not hard to learn. That's something literally in less than a day. You can go and figure out call rails, start applying numbers to the different channels that you have out there for your marketing, start tracking them so that you can understand which one's working, which one's not, and pull the right lever at the right time to go out there and optimize your marketing. Absolute golden nugget from Jim there. Also, when it comes to planning, looking at what it is that you actually need and fill in the gap with your budget to achieve that, and then making it easy. Having a content calendar. When I first heard about a content calendar, it wasn't called a content calendar. It was called an editorial calendar. And I got shared this template to go fill out for this thing. And I looked at it and went, no way, I am not doing that. That is like every piece of content for the next 365 days, very overwhelming. And I immediately just went, nope, I'm checking out. I'm an owner and I'm a person that's got other things to do besides filling out that. Him letting us know about having some themes so you can put them into buckets or categories and put them into buckets. Absolute perfect advice. Find 3, 4, 5 things that you can put as a theme and make it consistent to record that, break them down into little pieces, not hard to do. You can find people on Upwork and Fiverr that'll do that for you, virtual assistants, really affordable, and allow you to start ramping up your marketing so that whenever you're ready to really go after it, you can use somebody like Roofer Marketers to help you really take it to the next level. Thank you, everybody, for being here today. If you want to get control of your business, you want to grow your business, you want to achieve that personal and financial freedom, but everything feels chaotic. Everybody's not on the same page. You feel like you're shooting from the hip all the time. Come check us out at Contractor Coach Pro. It's what we do. We actually do a lot of what Jim said. We'll do a free call with you. Take our assessment on our site. If you go to our website, you'll see contractor assessment. Take that first so that we can optimize and maximize our time together. And we'll actually do a coaching call with you. Not like a discovery call or any of that kind of stuff. We're going to do a coaching call. We're going to notice some things about your business. We're going to give you some free advice. We're going to give you some tactical things to do to improve your business that day. If you like coaching, great. We would love to have you as a client. If you don't, well, at least you got 2 or 3 things to help you with your business to take that next step and break through a ceiling in your business. Thanks for being on here. We look forward to seeing you on our next episode of Contractor Radio.